welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. It's time for another Scraplift Crafternoon, and this week I am also combining my counterfeit kit challenge blog challenge number 1, which is to put a heart on it. And I'm going to be using my kit plus some extras because the layout that I chose this week by Fortin has lots of beautiful embellishment clusters on it, and I didn't put that many embellishments into my kit that would fit what I have going through my brain for this layout. So first off, I want to get the mixed media started. As you can see in her layout, which I will put up here in the corner, she has 3 swipes of different colored ink. Down on her background, I'm using one of my pattern papers from my February CKC kit. This is a My Mind's I Follow You heart paper. It is from 2012, so it is old and needs to come out of my stash, which was the whole point in digging through my Mind's I stash this month. So I'm going to actually start with this piece, and it's going to go in the middle. So let's see how this works out. So I chose 3 colors, of course, to do this layout. I chose this blue from Shimmers and a pink from Shimmers, and then a yellow ink spray from Mr. Huey's. Now, when I first started buying ink sprays, most of the sprays were glittery and they clogged really bad, and I would just get really frustrated with those. I think the most popular brand was the Tattered Angels brand, and they would just stop spraying, so I stopped buying them. But then when Studio Calico came out with their Mr. Huey's, there's no mica in them, so they don't have a shimmer, they're just color. And I really loved those, and so I bought as many colors as I could possibly find, and I'm still, as you can see, using them, and they still work great. They've been a great product. I really wish they'd come back out with some more of them, but alas, they have gone on and done other things. So I've allowed the background to dry, and now I'm just going to add some pretty little splatters using another spray ink from Heidi Swap on it. And I'm going to use pink as my splatters all over the different colors, even on the blue and the yellow. To me, I just wanted something that stood out a little bit more, so I just chose those colors. So this is the stuff that I used for this layout. I had a huge pile of stuff. Look at all that yummy stuff to play with. So I am going to clear my space, and now I'm going to start building this layout. The original layout had some beautiful stamping on it. She was doing some product testing for Spellbinders, and so she had used some of their stamp sets. I had a stamp set aside for this layout, and I was going to stamp some little floral pieces on this layout, but then I started playing a game on Facebook called the Bash Bowl through one of the Facebook community groups there, and one of the elements to get a touchdown is to use a stencil on your layout. So I put away the stamps and decided to use a stencil. So here I'm using the 3 different colored of Pink Fresh Studio inks. I am running it through that stencil, and I'm trying to be very careful to not use the stencil in the same place because I'm not wiping it off in between ink colors, and so I'm being really careful so that I don't get pink ink where the yellow is, or and I don't want to make green either. So just being really careful, and then I set it aside, and I'm going to go ahead and let this dry a little bit more. This was so much fun. This background turned out much better than I thought it was going to turn out. Normally I don't print our inspiration layout so that I can reference it, but in this instance I did print it out because there were so many details, and I really just wanted to give justice to this scrap lift. So I'm gonna go ahead and start putting my photo down. I only have one photo. This is a photo of my granddaughter when she was brand spanking new. And I'm gonna put some fun foam on the back of it. And then I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of fun foam on the back of those frames as well as I adhere them onto my background. So I cut those frames using some Pink Fresh Studio Essential dies that I purchased recently. They have 2 dies in the package, and each die is a square that has a scalloped edge on the outside and a scalloped edge on the inside. You can kind of see what I'm talking about if you look at the frames around my granddaughter's photo. That was cut with one of the dies. I did not use both pieces on the outer frames for this layout. I just pulled those out and tucked them into my counterfeit kit to be used at another time. I'm adding the foam adhesive to the back of these on the top and bottom. I'm not real worried about getting it all the way around because I want to make sure I have space to tuck things, and after I get all the things tucked in around these frames, you cannot tell that I have not used foam adhesive all the way around the frame. I'm going to go ahead and start building my embellishment clusters now. One of the first things I pull out is that little truck that says special delivery on it. That was in some Simple Stories chipboard that I have in my counterfeit kit this month, and I was super excited that I was able to use it. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find a photo to use with it, and then this photo came up in my Facebook memories recently, and I printed it because it wasn't one that I had already had printed out. This layout will end up in this baby book that I am building for Scarlett, and so I don't have this photo in there yet, and that made it a great addition to her book. So I'm going to try to build all of the different colored embellishments in the color on the background. We put the yellow on the yellow and the blue on the blue and the pink on the pink. And I pulled out quite a few of my old Prima floral stash. I used to buy these things just every chance that I could. They're kind of expensive, and so I would only get them from Peachy Cheap or on clearance, and I still have so many pieces of them left. So it was really nice to be able to pull them out and use them up on this layout. I have been a collector of flare pieces, probably going on a couple of years now. Collector because I've been really bad about using them. So when I realized that this layout had a couple pieces of flare on it, I dug through my stash of flare and I found 3 that I thought I would work with. I ended up only using 2 of the 3. I wish that I could have found one that had a yellow background so I could have one in every embellishment cluster. I didn't, and that's okay. So I just wanted to point out, hey, look, I used some flare finally. That's pretty awesome in my book. I also used some dies from my die stash and cut out some leaves. The leaves that you see are mostly Hip Kit Club dies with one Pink Fresh Studio die. I really felt great about using so many dies on this layout. I also loved that I was able to bring in the bits and pieces of wood veneer. I got that little container of wood veneer from Peachy Cheap. It's a Jen had filled the Avenue set, and when I bought it, I was like, I don't know that I'm ever going to be able to use this. So I was pretty tickled to be able to use the leaves. I don't know why I don't care for that set as much as I do some of the other, but I don't, and I kind of skip over it every time I'm digging through my wood veneer stash. But it was really awesome to be able to use a couple of pieces from that little container. Just want to point out that I used a lot of really older stash on this layout, and I was really proud of myself for doing that. I have that sheet of random embellishments that I have stuck on that sticker backing, and it has appeared in several kits over the last couple of years, and I just keep trying to add it, trying to use up all of those bits and pieces, and I was really glad that I was able to pull a bow off of it and a sticker piece. I'm also really disappointed that I didn't have as many yellow embellishments for the yellow cluster. I didn't have any chipboard hearts, so what I ended up doing, and you'll see me do that here in a second, is I take some of the leftover pink hearts and I peel that top colored piece off, and I'm gonna paint them off camera. I'll pop a picture up and show you that in just a second. One of the elements that I needed to make this a touchdown layout for the game I'm playing on Facebook was I needed to put bling on there. And so I had this little tiny jar of Buttons Galore and More sparklets that I poured out, and I just pulled some gems from it, and I used those as some finishing touches. I put some of them in the center of the flowers. But one of the elements I also needed were stars, and I was like, well, I'm just not going to get a touchdown on this layout, but that little jar had tiny star sequins, so watch for those to show up in the close-ups. I also added some twine in some of the clusters. It ended up with 3 different circles of twine that I put behind different embellishments. So this is my layout. I am really grateful that you stopped by my channel today. Make sure you check out my collaborative playlist below so that you can see what the rest of the girls are doing with this beautiful layout by Cindy Fortin. I will have Cindy Fortin's stuff linked in the description box below, so make sure you check her out. She is very, very talented. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great day. Bye.